Long ball number 2 here on Monday morning. The big game of the weekend, at least on the European club calendar, Manchester United 2, Liverpool 2 at Anfield. The whole trope of form goes out the window when it's a big rivalry like this, and that proved to be true. Arguably, Manchester United's best performance under Ruben Amorim, and one of the less impressive performances from the home team.
Look, I will say that yes, I know 73.6% of English Premier League games happen in downpours, but that one seemed to be particularly bad, Rob. It was,
And I didn't think that the commentators until very late in the game didn't really lend any credence to the conditions, because there was definitely some passing and some quality shortages, I'd say, through parts of this game. But then when you saw the ISO close up shots, you're like, oh, that is like freezing rain coming down at an angle in these guys' faces. So maybe cut a little slack to these guys.
Again, I know a lot of them are used to it, but you can't tell me that there weren't a couple of moments for Mo Salah, for Luis Diaz, I remember specifically, where just footing and technique kind of goes out the window a bit because it is absolutely coming down. Now, that's not an excuse for Liverpool because Manchester United had to play in the same conditions. And I will say, you could absolutely read this as Liverpool is lucky to get a point out of this game.
Because with the last minute moment chance there?
Well, the chance from Harry Maguire, which, yeah, that's not the guy you want to have that chance. He was there. He had an opportunity. I'm not even going to be so mean about it. I said Jerry Maguire could have finished that chance, Robert, is what I said over there on Blue Sky. And then somebody said, Prince Harry could have finished that chance. And I said, well, maybe Harry Potter could have spelled it in. I mean, it became a joke a little bit, but, you know, again, he got himself in a position. It's a downpour. I'm not sure I'm going to be too mean about Harry Maguire not finishing, but I'm talking about the De Ligt handball, right? Like, yes, it's a handball. Yes, by the letter of the law, it is a penalty. But, you know, that is not a moment Liverpool – was the ball going in the net? Was it going to get past Onana if De Ligt doesn't have his hand waving in the air? I don't know. So you could argue that that's a little bit of luck that falls Liverpool's way, and if not for the Mo Salah penalty – that's a loss at home to a team that's been so bad that they were talking about a relegation fight. So bad that they're talking about
that's malarkey, by the way.
After 15, 14 games, whatever it's been. I mean, the things are never as bad as they seem, I think is a fairly decent lesson to take away from this. I have seen some numbers that suggest United has improved a bit defensively since Amorim has arrived, which is something, right? That's something for a team that had been so poor. You know, there's not a lot of good to take away from United, even in that performance, even the way that they played in this game. But there's still enough fight in them, and it's still the Premier League, and it's not anybody can beat anybody on any given day, but it's not that sometimes either. And as you said, in a match between rivals going back decades, there's going to be a lot of energy that comes out of United. United wants to put on the good showing. Amorim obviously coached them up. You give him credit for that.
This matchup between Liverpool and Manchester United, if you were going to draw American parallels, I would say it almost is akin to University of Michigan, Ohio State. Not each team is powerful at the same time, but the team that's lower down in the pecking order on any given year will circle that game as, if we're having a lousy season, at the very least, we need to win or get a result in that game. And they did. And I didn't think it was going to be a walkover, how many pundits thought going into it, just based on the form table and where both teams are at. But I don't know if impressed, but surprised that the pressing from Manchester United was so effective. The goals, or at least the first goal that they scored, and a couple chances that Manchester United got, they forced turnovers from bad passes from the fullbacks, especially from Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right, pretty explicitly for the first goal.
Can we pause here for a second? Let's talk about Trent, because he has taken a beating online.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a bad performance at a bad time.
Well, so okay. So there's a couple of things working here for Trent Alexander-Arnold. It is obviously Liverpool versus United, and no matter what circumstances, that's a massive game. It carries massive implications. One side wants to beat the other side. You have Liverpool atop the table, and if they can beat United, you know, that obviously gives them even more reason to believe that they're going to see this thing out, and they're going to become Premier League champions for just the second time. You know, that's a big thing. And so every point, every opportunity to extend a lead over Arsenal it feels massive. So if you drop points and one player has a bad performance, people are going to point to that player and say, "Hey, what's going on here? This is your fault." Especially when you have a reputation of being a top quality player the way that Trent Alexander-Arnold does. But of course, there's also the possibility of him leaving in the summer, and the idea of a pre-contract somewhere, and Real Madrid waiting around to see what he's going to do and whether he's trying to leverage Real Madrid interest into a better contract at Liverpool, and then he doesn't play well against United when the spotlight is on him. At the same time, Ron, United had a plan. Bruno Fernandes exploited the space that Trent Alexander-Arnold is responsible for defensively, and no one has ever said that Trent Alexander-Arnold is the best defender. That has never been part of his portfolio of abilities, right? He does a lot of other things well, and he's not the worst defender, right? And that's the trade-off you make with a fullback in a system where you're asking them to be part of the attack. So tell me, do you think that this is really a big black mark on Trent, and what does it mean for his future?
I would say in the next 48 hours until the next game, it's going to be bad for him. But in the large scheme of things, even the best players in the world have bad games. I mean, and it was who he says a lot of the shortcomings came from, being up the field as he's asked to do. I mean, granted, his tracking back was shocking at times. He didn't exactly track back and cover himself in glory. But I think if there was a move on the cards, I don't think one game's performance would derail that in any way.
It is what it is. I still think Liverpool wins the title. I don't think this changes a lot for United other than, as you were saying, probably no need to worry about a relegation fight.
No, because, I mean, if they win 3 more games the rest of the season, they're in the clear. I don't think that's realistic. The whole relegation, I feel like that was maybe even a mistake by Amorim saying anything about relegation, but I understand he's trying to lower expectations of the feverish fan base for
I think
United.
To be humble in the face of some pretty difficult circumstances, and he doesn't want to come off as Ten Hag did, where he constantly pointed to, but the performance was fine. Our performance was good. Our result wasn't good, but our performance. If you look at the performance, right, you can see, and it's that's
the performance. Even when the performance looked bad, you'd say that.
Yeah, exactly. I think Amorim wants to be the anti-Ten Hag in that regard. Anyway, it's one match in a 38-game season. It's not going to change the fortunes of either one of these teams in dramatic ways, despite how much we put on it.
Yeah, I mean, especially the draw with Liverpool still remaining at the top of the league with a 6-point cushion and a game in hand. And rivals such as Arsenal and Chelsea both did the same. They both had, controversial draws. There was a lot of VAR-y stuff this weekend. I wouldn't say it was a classic weekend in the Premiership.
No, I mean, it was a little bit all over the map in that regard, and you do wonder. I mean, Chelsea has kind of come up against that moment where they were going to be tested to see if they were truly title contenders, and they have faded. And I don't think that means they're not going to make the Champions League, and that would be an achievement for Maresca and company. But I don't think they're a title contender, and I don't think they ever really were. I mean, I was pretty consistent with that, even when they were in second place, that I don't think this Chelsea team is ready.
And after that result, Manchester United sitting 13th, Liverpool at the top of the league.